Wow, zow, bing bang boom, been a long time from you, friends of the internet. Hi! Believe me, I do too. This is the How Long to Beat podcast, your favorite irregular podcast about video games and how long it takes to complete them. I, as always, am Kerfus, Murphus, Maximus, Plegius, Sextus, Optimus, Prime, and I'm joined by my two lovely co-hosts.
Fuggledworth.
Ruffledwarf, that's what you're going with?
Yeah, that's my other name.
Right, okay. That was the voice of Ultimate Zombie Toast. I'm Ninja Rick, and I'm baffled at how these intros get weirder every single time.
And, like, not
Without
a good
fail.
weird either. It's like a bad weird. It's like, this is just not, I don't know.
You flattered my ego too early on, and now they're just going to degrade.
I don't know if I want to see this much of you.
She says in the audio format.
I mean, every great hero has to have their hubris. That's what makes it a tragedy.
This is just
Anyway.
Act 1 of the character arc. That's what's going on.
And now we will begin Act 2, in which we actually discuss video game-related things. Today we're going to have a very short episode for you today because we all have lives. What are those? So we're only going to have two real segments today. The first is going to be Recently Beat, Currently Playing. The second is going to be our host segments. And I have a few ideas up my sleeve for those, but we'll get to that bridge when we get to it. So, first of all, Recently Beat, Currently Playing. Who wants to start?
Noses.
No, I don't mind. I'll jump in.
Okay.
Which is fine because I've only beaten one game since we last recorded, and that is last episode's recommendation, which is Box Boy. What a game! 10 out of 10. If you have a 3DS, you have to play this game. It
looks stupid.
You look stupid.
100%.
100%. It is an amazing puzzle platformer with a really unique idea, which is hard to explain, but I'm going to make a crack at it, which is you are a box with legs, and you have the power to extend further boxes out of your body. So, for example, if there's a ledge that's 3 blocks high, you make a little right angle block, and you make little steps for yourself to climb up. You can make hooks to get you over the top of ledges. You can make your own blocks to trigger switches. You can use it as shields to cover yourself from lasers firing from the ceiling. And as you go on, you can make multiple sets of blocks. There are sticky blocks. There are positive and negative signs you have to connect with blocks. It's very reminiscent of Mario Galaxy in the sense that it has a lot of ideas and it doesn't dwell on any particular one for any length of time. So it feels fresh all the way through the sort of 6 to 8 hours it takes to beat all of the levels in it. And once you beat that, there are some time challenges, other things. So it's really good value for the entry, which is about £4 or your regional equivalent. I've already bought the sequel. I'm going to get to that soon. Really highly recommended. And so briefly, in terms of what I'm currently playing, there's a lot of 3DS love. So I've been playing Kid Icarus Uprising, which I know you hate, Toast. Yeah, I can see the face you're pulling. Genuinely enjoying it. The control scheme does hamper it a little bit. Yeah, I get that, and it's not for everyone, but I love the humour, and I sort of come from a background of playing all of the FPSs on DS, so it doesn't really bother me. If anything, it's quite refreshing to have a circle pad rather than a D-pad. So I'm enjoying that. I'm also playing Shin Megami Tensei 4, again on 3DS. I'm on the home stretch of that. Love it more than Strange Journey, which I didn't think was possible. It's a really, really excellent RPG. Good use of 3D, a lot of demons to fuse and collect, really interesting sort of philosophical story. And the last game I'm playing on 3DS is called Sakura Samurai. And it's sort of like if Punch-Out was set in the Edo period. Honestly, it really is that kind of a game. So you have to recognize attack patterns, dodge those patterns, and then jump in with a strike. It's very basic, but the 3D is incredible on it. And again, for quite a low entry fee, it's something I'm having fun with so far. Just a few other ones I'm sort of dipping into. I've just started Portal 2, literally this afternoon.
Oh, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. So I've played 20 minutes of the single-player campaign, and I've also done about half of the co-op with one of my friends. And I think co-op really is where it's at, because they've sort of been able to do more with 4 portals than they could with 2, obviously. And the puzzles are still really well balanced. The game's still really fun. The sense of humour is entirely there. Have you guys both sort of played and beaten Portal 2? I assume so. It's been out for a while.
Multiple times.
I played half of it, and unfortunately, I really like it, but it's another one of those games where I really can't finish it.
Of course. So is it one where you'd sort of have to play in bursts to get through it, or is it really that bad?
2 minutes, and I'm done.
Damn.
Yeah, so...
Especially with, like, how fast-paced and, like, changing your perspective it is and stuff.
Oh,
as soon as you jump through a portal and you fly out another one, I'm just like, no, because it starts to give me like super bad headaches.
Yeah, I can picture that. There are those bits where you have to put a portal above and below you, and you jump in and start building momentum, and that made me feel a little bit queasy, let alone you with the sort of motion sickness stuff that you've got going on. Moving on, just in the interest of time, I'm also playing Resident Evil Revelations on PC. Nearly got it for 3DS. Decided not to double dip because I already had it in my Steam, because of course I did. It's pretty good. I'm not really a big Resi fan, but I like what it's done so far, and I'm definitely going to carry on with it. I don't really have much more to say about that. I'm still quite early into it. I think I'm on episode 3, so I've just gotten past the moment where Chris's companion, who's some new lady, has like a Barry Burton-esque line where she says, "Me and my sexy ass are on our way." And my spine tried to jump out of my body, but the game is good, so I'll be sticking with it. And the last one, which I've been having a lot of fun with, is Jet Set Radio.
Hey!
Specifically the Vita port. Feels a bit bare bones so far, but it's still early days, so I quite like the motion. I love the aesthetic, so I'll be plugging along with that, and that's me.
I'm just looking at, or trying to look at, a video of Sakura Samurai here, and this looks awesome.
It's really good fun. I'd recommend it.
Maybe I have to have it in my hands to get what you mean by Punch-Out with it.
Well, there's a lot of timing-based movement, so you really are a glass cannon in that game.
Uh-huh.
And what you'll sort of see from the gameplay videos is that there are feints by the opponents. There are cues when they're about to strike, cues for different strikes.
It's like a 3D Nidhogg or something.
I don't know if I like the art style that they ran with.
In motion and in 3D, it really works.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that art style. It reminds me of like Natsume games. Like
Natsume games?
Yeah, like the older Harvest Moons and stuff, and some of their PlayStation 2 games and stuff.
I think that saying that is a disservice to Natsume.
Ooh. It's, for the listeners at home, if you haven't got access to YouTube while you're listening to us, Sakura Samurai has sort of a low poly 3D look, but with the 3D and in motion, it does have some really nice effects. The lighting's quite good for a 3DS game, especially for a budget title that takes up only something like 700 or 800 blocks on the SD card. But yeah, if you like the look of it and you aren't too concerned by what you'll see in 5 minutes of gameplay, more or less, is what you'll be experiencing in bursts and with minor variations throughout, I think, the entire game, then it's well worth a pickup and well worth a look.
By the way, I mean, I guess since you didn't mention it, that means you haven't started it, but you said you got the Ace Attorney trilogy, right? For 3DS?
So I almost did. I was struggling for SD memory, so what I did instead is I downloaded an emulator, and little by little, while I've been at work, I've been progressing. So I'm halfway through the first trial.
The first? Because I've been the very first trial?
The first trial of the first game.
The one that takes 30 minutes to beat?
this is why I didn't mention I was playing it, because I didn't feel I really had gotten far
I
enough
didn't
in.
think it let you save during the first trial. I thought you had to finish it to, like, because it was like the tutorial.
There are a lot of pros to emulation.
Oh my, oh yes, yes there are.
So
You
yeah,
scoundrel.
it's nice. I'm enjoying it so far. What little of it I've played, and I think sort of over the next month or two I'll plug away at it, sort of in downtime at work and in lunch breaks and things like that. And maybe sort of in an episode or two I'll have enough thoughts to share.
I will look forward to that, because I am replaying the series myself right now and having
How about that for a
grand old
segue?
time. Oh, I guess, yeah, that is a segue.
Almost
So-
like we planned it.
So yeah, I am currently on the second game of the original trilogy. So that's Justice for All, which is pretty well regarded as by the community as the worst of the original trilogy. But it still is an Ace Attorney game. It has its charm. I haven't gotten to the worst case yet, so
What's the worst case?
the worst case is Justice for All, Case 3, in which it takes place at a circus, and all of the characters are circus performers, and none of them are entertaining, and it's way too long.
Intentionally, or
Man,
is it like they're supposed to be shit circus performers, or is it like they're supposed to be good but they're just not funny in motion?
Kind of both. It's like they...
Oh.
It's like they're supposed to be good circus performers, but also all of them are really bad at what they do outside of like their actual performances and stuff. So
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird and inconsistent and just generally a strange one. But the rest of the game is solid. I think Justice for All probably has the best final case of the original trilogy. But I won't harp on that too much. Other than that, I think most of the games I'm currently playing, I've kind of been playing. So Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadow of Valencia, still slowly working through that. Xenoblade Chronicles, I had that kind of on the back burner for a while, but I just picked it up again. And I am a little past the halfway point of the game. Just waiting to unlock the final party member so I can grind supports and stuff with her. Them, I mean. No spoiler, you know.
Whoopsie.
And then, let's see, Final Fantasy VI. I don't know if I had started that the last time we recorded, but I've only actually put an hour into it, so I don't really have much to say about it yet. But, I mean, I don't know what I was expecting from it, but I am pleasantly pleased with what I have experienced so far. The pixel art has been just phenomenal, and like the sound design and everything just really creates a sense of world. And I mean, I might as well bring it up because it is the current game of the month. Chrono Trigger, while I like it a lot as a game, didn't have the impact for me that it had for a lot of people. But
Boo.
yeah, I don't know. It just, I don't know. Something about the writing and the character development of it just didn't stick with me. But something about Final Fantasy VI, I have a feeling it's going to give me what I wanted out of that.
Which version of Final Fantasy VI are you playing?
The original Super Nintendo.
Oh, on SNES?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so those are my currently playing. Recently beat, I don't even remember what day we last recorded. So...
God, that's a good question. Let's have a look. When were we last? I mean, carry on while I find out. No
Sure,
worries.
I'll just pick a place and start. Did I talk about Shaq Fu last time? Does that sound
Possibly.
familiar?
I'm not sure. Go on, recap.
Alright, so Shaq Fu's bad. I'll just say that. The original game and the new one. I completed that on June 8th, which... Have we really not recorded since then? Weird. But...
Yeah, that sounds about right. Was that when we did the E3 episode?
Yeah, I think it was. So that
Yeah,
was
that
right
sounds
around the
about right. I
time.
don't think we have recorded since the E3 episode.
Crazy.
Yeah,
So
that's
anyway, I beat Shaq Fu. It was just bad. It's really short. It has really imbalanced gameplay. Like it's really just a one button beat 'em up basically. And the whole design philosophy is they're just going to send as many characters, as many enemies at you as they can at once. And most of the time it's not a troublesome thing to deal with until they surround you on all sides, and then there's just no way to get out of it. On the other hand, like if you end up in an arena where they give you a like melee weapon, the melee weapons always respawn and they always kill everything in one hit. So it just eliminates all the challenge entirely. Just really imbalanced. The writing, it's almost funny to start with, but then they just repeat the same 3 or 4 jokes from the first 5 minutes throughout the entire game for like 3 hours, and it's just not funny anymore at that point. So, do not recommend. Next is Pikmin 3. I think I talked about that a little last time. If you like Pikmin, you'll like Pikmin 3, basically.
With the exception of if you were expecting it to be as long as 2, it is not.
True, but also, I mean, 2 is my favorite, but it's a little padded out in how the dungeons are designed, and the fact that you can't just, like, jump to certain rooms in the underground dungeons.
I like that time didn't pass during them, though.
The
Because
what?
that was always my big... Like, time does... Once you get to a cave, the time, like, stands still. I liked that because I get really stressed, and all the Pikmins all die, and then I get real sad.
Yeah.
And I just like not having time limit.
So, with that caveat out of the way, yes, it is a very good game. Highly recommend. Next, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is a good one. It's like half Metroidvania, half not, which was interesting. It's like...
It's Sexyvania.
Sexyvania.
Shantae is bae.
It reminded me of a couple of other games. One was the PlayStation game Tomba, and another one, in weird way, it reminded me of Zelda 2. Like, just in the way that, like, there are these almost Metroidvania aspects to it, but then you get into the side-scrolling parts and you're just going through a dungeon, basically.
Weird. That's not what it reminded me of at all. It reminds me of, like, Puyo Puyo mixed with Sonic.
Okay.
What
I
I
don't know if it
want
was
to know...
fast enough to feel like Sonic, but I don't know.
No, like, the story.
Are we talking about the same
Sonic
game?
been known for its narrative? What's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah, yeah, totally. It reminds me of, like, the characters of Sonic and, like, mixed with, like, the art of Puyo Puyo.
Well, I haven't played Puyo Puyo, so I can't speak to that effect.
My question is, what's the difficulty like? Because the consensus seems to be that the Shantae games are a little bit too much on the easy side.
That wasn't really my experience with it. I mean, this is the only Shantae game that I've played. This one...
Medium.
Yeah,
I
this
would
one I
say.
would say is medium. It can be a little on the harder side if you don't budget your money and stuff effectively, if you don't keep items stocked and whatnot.
I will say it's not a hard game, but you will die more than once,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
depending
to-
on your skill level.
And you will
Trying
also feel like you're going to die often. You may not die as often as you feel like you're going to die, but it always feels like that's a threat.
Oh, that wasn't meant to be that loud. I'm trying to check which Shantae it was that I played. Because I did play one. Risky's Revenge is the one that I played. And I found it... I mean, I never beat it, but I found
That was
it
the weakest.
probably about right. It was distinctly okay, but I did find it fairly easy. And I'd heard a lot of...
Oh, he's gone.
Probably shouldn't talk because I'm moving away from the microphone.
Yeah.
I'd found all of the feedback that I'd seen on the more recent Shantae games to be that they were a bit too easy, which is sort of why I asked.
Well, I will probably be playing the others in the not too distant future, so I will report back when I know about that. In the interest of time, I have a lot more to cover here, so I'll just move right along. Next was Rise of the Tomb Raider, which I was a little disappointed in. I remember being a fan of the 2013 Tomb Raider. This one just didn't resonate with me. I don't know, the writing was just god awful. It's just so tropey, has so many plot conveniences. The characters, their lines are so generic. The gameplay was fine, but everything else just rubbed me the wrong way. So next was Legend of K Anniversary, which I touched on briefly in the last episode, I believe.
Also known as the best game of all time.
My whole reasoning behind playing it was they wouldn't remake a game if it was bad, right? And it turns out, yeah, they would.
Okay.
They are banking on nostalgia and nostalgia alone.
What nostalgia, though? Who was nostalgic for that game?
All of 10 people, maybe?
Who played that game and they're like, I was 8 and I loved this game. And
they rented it from Blockbuster, and that was their entire experience with it.
I'd love to know how many copies of that game they actually sold.
The original or the remake?
Both. It can't be that many.
I have a friend who has distinct bad taste in video games, and they like that game.
Is it Rick?
No.
Is Rick the friend?
Simmer down. Toast is not my friend. Let's get one thing clear.
100%.
Enemies for life.
I wouldn't want you as a friend even if I was, like, desperate.
You're only saying that because you're bitter that we're not. That's all that's going on. It's okay. It's okay.
Next up was Penumbra Overture. I just kind of had this sitting in my GOG library for a really long time and decided to play it. And it was scary for like the first hour or so, but my issue with all of those games by those developers, like Amnesia and stuff, I can't stay scared for very long because like once you die once, then you stop being scared by it. Like you just want to run by all of the threats. Like the whole thing that I think you're supposed to be scared of is the threat of death. And once that threat is kind of consummated, for lack of a better word, then you've seen all that they have in store for you. You know what death looks like. You can just move on without having to worry about it anymore. So ultimately, I still enjoyed it. One of the characters had some comedy gold in their dialogue. So yeah.
I think that's probably a discussion we can have at more length at sort of a later date in terms of how horror games get over that, because I think that's a problem for a lot of games, not just sort of the Penumbras and the Amnesias, is that, like you say, once you've died once, especially in a video game where you know you're just going to respawn again, it's very difficult to make that stay scary over the course of a game. But
I've put it into the episode notes so that we can save that for a later episode.
Woo woo.
Haha. All right, 5 more to go. Next is Sylvan Tale for the Sega Game Gear, which was only released in Japan, but there is a very good fan translation that was done. I appear to have given it a 6, which is not my actual feelings of it currently. I'd probably give it closer to a 7 with my current feelings. I mean, it's it's a Zelda clone in the sense that they give you a lot of very short dungeons instead of a handful of, like long dungeons, which is an interesting way of doing it. You only have to solve normally 1 or 2 puzzles per dungeon, if that. Sometimes you literally just have to walk around until you find a door. So There are some issues, one of them being that you sometimes just have to walk around until you find a door, and it just being so old that it can be a little obtuse in what they want you to do at any given time. But, I mean, the gameplay is pretty fun. I really liked the characters, and there's a whole mechanic of transforming into different animals and using their abilities. So that was fun enough. So I'd say give it a try if you're interested. Next was Celeste, which I played on the Nintendo Switch.
Ooh.
Nobody probably needs me to tell them how good that game is. I'm sure everybody basically knows at this point. It's, just an incredibly polished precision platformer. I don't know what else to say about it. It tells a nice story. Toast, you would probably appreciate that it touches on mental health quite a bit.
It's on my radar. It was just not discounted enough last time for me to get it.
Yeah, I gotcha. I will say that if you are committed to the task of, getting all the collectibles and completing all of the alternate versions of the levels, there's quite a bit of content there. Every level, or every chapter, I guess, has 3 different versions of it. There's like the normal story related one, then the harder one, and then the uber hard one. So playing through all of them, I've put close to 10 hours into it, and I haven't even started the super hard versions of the levels. So there's a fair bit there.
Let's take a step back, though. This is Toast, the proud owner of 6 copies of Wind Waker, who can afford 5 redundant copies of the game, but not a £15,
okay,
$20.
But remember, she's not the one affording them.
I didn't buy any of my Wind Waker copies.
I mean, you could have said, I love you, but can you get me a Steam voucher, please? I'm just saying.
I don't know how I came to own 5 copies. 6. I don't know.
I thought you said 6, but I'm not going to argue over the 6th. It's not.
But my money is my money. And if the game is not 50% off, unless I really want it, I'm not going to get it.
Okay.
All right.
I think I've made my point. That's fine.
I have 3 more to go here. I'll try to get them out as quickly as I can. I'm going to do them a little out of order. I'm going to start New Super Mario Bros. 2. I played basically just on a whim. It's the only of the New Super Mario Bros. Series I haven't played. So I rented it, played through it. It took about, it took about 10 hours to 100% it. I was a little disappointed because they had all the marketing for that game to make it all about, like, get as many coins as you can, try to get 1 million coins or whatever. And I thought that might actually play into, like, the story a little bit, kind of like how other Mario games will incorporate, like, power-ups into the story or whatever. But they really didn't do anything at all. There just happened to be more coins than usual. So, I don't know. It's really gratifying to collect, 400 coins per level. But, I don't know. I guess I expected just a little bit more. Next after that, and these two kind of go together as, like, the alpha and the omega. I played Owlboy and Iconoclasts.
Ooh, I'm interested to hear what you say about these.
Yes. So, one of them I really liked, and one of them I was really disappointed in. Let's take your guesses. What do you think?
Based on what I've heard, I'm going to guess that you loved Iconoclast and didn't love Owlboy so much.
What do you think, Toast?
I'm gonna, based off of what... I'll guess the reverse, just because I can.
All right. Well, Rick wins this round.
Yeah.
It was Iconoclasts that really took the cake for me, and Owlboy that let me down. And I felt that I had to kind of put these together as I was discussing it, because both of them are incredible labors of love, and you can see that just on the surface. Like, both of them, their pixel artwork is, bar none, some of the best that has ever been done. Owlboy, even there, is a step above. Like, they have their whole, I think they call it high bit pixel art, and I mean, some of that stuff looks like, you know, paintings. Like, you would have to really get close to the screen to even see there are pixels there at all, which is pretty insane. Iconoclast doesn't quite have that same resolution, but it does a great deal artistically with what it sets up. So where the problem comes in, and now Iconoclasts I had some issues with as I was playing it. I thought that some of the mechanics were just a little, I don't know, all of the mechanics are based around your gun. They're kind of limited. The writing itself, it's very black and white, not like morally, but in the sense of you'll be having a really humorous scene at one moment, and then the next moment someone is being like tortured to death or something very viscerally.
Oh, damn.
So it's weird. The pacing's a little weird. But ultimately, like, it has a lot of ambition, and it takes a lot of creative risks. And it doesn't always pay off with those risks, but I just appreciated the lengths that it went to. You could really tell how committed the creator was to the vision that they had. Owlboy, on the other hand, really feels like a product of too much playtesting. It feels like a lot of the difficulty was reduced, and it feels like a lot of concessions were made for the sake of people who only had their hands on the game for a short amount of time, and were literally just looking for ways to break it. So, like, everything pretty much works, but it feels like almost incomplete. Like, it felt like they were spending so much time doing and redoing parts of the game that they didn't end up completing their whole vision like Iconoclast did. There are characters that show up in the beginning who seem like they're going to be very important, who do end up being very important, but they get no development within the cutscenes or anything. So by the end of the game, like, the whole thing is dependent on how you feel about certain side characters who maybe have like 5 lines of dialogue in the entire game. I can't make myself feel anything for a character who doesn't have a presence in the story, no matter how much you tell me to. So I was very disappointed in that. It just never quite clicked. The level design of the dungeons was very bland, very straightforward, very easy to visualize. Too easy, I would say. And then the overworld just feels like you're always around something. You feel like you're around a village or around a group of characters, but you never actually get into that group. There's a whole city that gets blown up before you even get to visit it. So, I don't know. It let me down big time. And I think I appreciate Iconoclasts more in retrospect after completing Owlboy and seeing what a vision could look like when it was seen through to its end. Anyway, that's all.
Just before we move on, I'm a bit curious. I think you hit all the story points pretty comprehensively. I was quite curious about the navigation and how you found that, because my impression of Owlboy is that it's very difficult to think of Metroidvania when you already essentially have free traversal with flight. So I know with the Castlevania games, it's a struggle to move around at first, and you have to be quite creative. And it feels like a real reward when late in the game you either get continuous jumps or flight or whatever it is, and it feels like you're then free to explore this world that you slowly learned and understood. And so I'm curious how Owlboy feels when you have that flight from the off, especially when you say you feel like you're around things but never really in them.
Yeah, so I guess my 2 responses to that would be, one, that there are Metroidvanias with free flight controls that have made it work. So, like, I can think of Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet makes that work for it. And then I think Cave Story, once you really unlock all of your movement mechanics, kind of has a similar play.
But that's sort of my point. You have to get there. You're not really... You don't have it from the off.
Yeah. So the second point that I would make is that Owlboy isn't actually a Metroidvania. Like,
Okay.
I think it billed itself as that, at least for a very long time, because that was my impression when I went into it. That's what I was expecting, but it's really not that at all. I mean, there are places in the overworld that you can only access once you have certain abilities, but it is very pared down. Like, your abilities are really only useful for getting to the next area. That's not really useful for, like, unlocking or opening up new paths, getting extra items, stuff like that. The only collectible is coins, and the coins are pretty much in a tier system. Once you have this many, you get this next thing. And those are only so useful for the first half of the game, really. So, yeah, if it was more of a Metroidvania, I might be able to address that better, but it's just too linear, I would say.
Okay, so the short answer, I guess, is sort of it doesn't because it can't, because it's not that kind of a game.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough, but that's definitely a point worth addressing, because I'm in the same boat as you. I was expecting at least some kind of a Metroidvania, and it seems very underwhelming in the end, especially how long it took out and all the rest of it. How long did it take you to clear it versus Iconoclasts?
Iconoclasts, I'll just say how long it took for both. So Iconoclasts took me 10.5 hours, and my final completion rate was only at 51%. So if you wanted to do all of the extra stuff, I'm sure it would take even longer. I wouldn't say that I was rushing to the end, but I definitely wasn't doing as much of the external exploration. Owlboy, on the other hand, only took about 5.5 hours. So it was about half as long, and I would say I completed much, much more of that game, just because so much of it is already on the path you take to the end. So content-wise, Iconoclast wins there too.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that is everything. That is my month's worth of completions.
It's a hefty load.
Yeah.
You've done well.
All right, Toast, my goats.
Okay, I've only finished one game, and that's God of War 2. I still don't like Kratos. Like, it was definitely, like, a better game, but it's just, like, I don't empathize with this character whatsoever.
He's a horrible person?
I don't even like him. I didn't empathize with, like, any of the characters, I would say. Like, it's weird when a story is good, but you honestly do not care one way or another who lives or who dies. Or, like, what happens. But it was fun to play.
Which is sort of the point. Like, that game is not really about its story.
I don't know. I feel like a great deal of it is about its story.
The story is there to service the action. I haven't got to the second one yet, but in terms of all of the God of War games I've played, that's the impression I've gotten of them. The story gives you an excuse to slice and dice more people.
Weird, because I don't like the actual, like, the fighting of the game. The weakest part for me.
But it's so good.
Like, yeah, it's good, but I don't like that type of game. Like, pressing buttons over and over. It wasn't too fun for me. I kind of just, like,
bread and butter.
I just wanted that bit to be over so that I could get to the story, which I didn't care about the characters in the story. I just wanted the story to progress. But I liked the story.
For fear of gatekeeping, if you're pressing buttons over and over again, you're not really doing it right. You have your light and your strong, but you also have magic and dodges and the circle button, aka the do nasty shit over and over button.
No, yeah, I get that. It's just, like, adding combos together over and over, to create different combinations of combos, to do different things. This isn't like super fun for me.
Okay, so that's a personal taste thing then, I guess.
Yeah, it's not like I understand the appeal, but it's just not for me.
Fair enough.
And then I'm still playing A Link to the Past. I'm still playing. I am on the very last 30 minutes of the last route for Kira Kira. I'm waiting for. I have a extendable wall monitor coming in, and I'm waiting for that to come in so that I can like have it like reach out and in front of me, because I think that would make for a more enjoyable experience.
When you say extendable wall monitor, what do you?
It's like the wall is on like an arm and it's extendable. So it's like a three.
I'm picturing
the
it
screen
like
extends.
I'm picturing it like a doctor's office or something, like those things that come down and like you can move them around.
Yeah, you've never like had one before, like you.
No.
No, yeah, that's the thing. It's like on a like a rotating like metal arm, and you put the monitor on the end of it and you bolt it in, and then the monitor can be moved to like a small section of my room.
See, what you're describing to me sounds like a projector setup.
No.
I get that it's not, but
I'm gonna see if I can pull it forward, because I have it. I just don't have the adapter for it.
okay.
Let's see if I can. Oh.
Right.
So I don't think I can.
We're
But
pioneering the podcast.
A giant metal arm. It was like my birthday present, so I'm like, just waiting for the thing to come in.
So it's a mount for a monitor.
Yeah, and it's just
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. So it's a special wall mount for a regular monitor.
No, for a desktop monitor.
But it's a normal screen. There's nothing special about the screen itself.
Yeah, no.
Right. Okay, I'm with you now. Okay, so it's an arm that you're putting in. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I was like really surprised because I thought people like knew what that was, and it was getting really confusing because.
I do, but when it's described as a special bracket for your monitor, I get it. When you say an extendable wall monitor, it sounds like you're talking about some roll-out screen.
No,
I'm
but
picturing a poster that you unfurl and you magically plug something in and it works. Right.
No,
okay.
but it can go from sitting on my desk to up in the air now.
We understand each other now.
Yes.
I'm with you. Okay.
And I'm waiting for that to come in before I finish my visual novel, because I think that laying down while I play it would be more enjoyable.
Whoa! So you can actually you can have it over your bed and you can lay down.
It is like a doctor's office.
Yes.
I am so very jealous. That's like a dream setup.
Yeah, it was my birthday present. Nick did all the measuring and stuff.
Pretty dope.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm super excited.
That's way too cool.
And then, let's see, I started Baldur's Gate, first one. It is good. I'm not far enough in it to like, it's so complicated. Like there's so much that goes into it that I'm almost overwhelmed by it.
That's my experience with most RPGs.
Yeah, honestly, like I tell myself, oh, I want it to be so immersive and I want it to be like a completely different world, but then when it actually is, it's super immersive and like overwhelming, and I just can't get into it because it's just like there's so much rules, so much going on, so much lore that I don't know.
It's a hard balance for sure.
So I'm very, very not very far in that one, and then I started A Hat in Time.
Oh boy!
It is super good. It's really good so far.
Alright, how far are you?
Have you played it?
Yes, I have.
I am not very far. I am still in Mafia Town.
Okay.
And at the risk of sounding like racist, I absolutely love the Russian mafia, so it's like super, super good.
Why
Like,
is that racist?
Well, it's like
Maybe
I
not
love Russian
racist,
accents.
but culturally insensitive.
It's like, yeah, it's culturally insensitive, but
Okay, whatever.
I like it when it's in media because there's just something about it.
Okay.
I love that game so much because of just how every level really has its own theme to it. And I mean, you're obviously going to figure this out as you continue through the other levels, but it reminded me a lot of the way that Psychonauts sets up its levels.
Yeah, definitely inspiration from them, and then Super Mario Sunshine,
Yeah.
and yeah,
And,
super
like,
heavy from that.
Honestly, what a perfect combination.
Yes. It really is just like you get nostalgia from it when you haven't even played it before. I wish that the designs were a little bit better. I'm not a fan of the art or of like the 3D, like I don't really like the art in it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
And I don't like Mustache Girl.
Mustache.
You're not meant to, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't mind like the art design of it, but it does bum me out that it has that whole like Unity game veneer to it, and I wish that it could have kind of avoided
a little
that.
unpolished.
Yeah, just visually speaking, I
Where-
see that.
And you know, it's weird because they could have fixed it if they did like cell shading on it. It would have made it like so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't, and it looks kind of like somebody threw up on it. But it's still good. And that's all I played.
All right, cool to the max. All right, so now all we have left for our short episode is our host segments. So I still don't really have one. So in the meantime, I'm just going to say what my options are, and maybe the audience can vote on them, and we'll work from there. So, going on this idea of all of our segments have to have a pun in them somehow, the three that I've come up with, number one is grading on a Kerf, in which I would likely take a bad or mediocre game and try to explain why actually it's good. I don't know what bad games I would talk about. The only one that comes to mind is Bubsy 3D, and I really don't think I could explain how that one is good. But
It's not worth words.
We all know it's better than Mario 64. Let's just leave it there.
yeah, I mean, honestly, which one got the Golden X award, guys? So that would be the first one, grading on a Kerf. The second option is Kerf your enthusiasm, which I think the three of us agreed is the best pun out of the three. But I don't really know what I would talk about. I think Rick suggested that I would talk about a good game, but by like playing down how good it is or something.
Talk about why a good game's actually okay.
Just
The enthusiasm
Yeah.
about that supposedly great game.
And see, that's difficult for me because, like, I already tend to talk about the good and the bad of most games, but ultimately I come down on the side of just loving most things. So, I mean, even Iconoclasts, which as I played it, I had some struggles with, now I love it. So, who knows? Maybe I can work that out somehow. But the third one, which would be the one I would be most excited about, but the pun is probably the weakest of the three, is...
Stroke to be decided.
Yeah, we might come up with another pun for it to make it work, but it would be the Fast and the Kerfius, in which I would talk about my forays into the world of speedrunning, which...
It's pretty fucking terrible. Sorry.
Well, it's better than what the fourth option was, which was pretty much immediately vetoed, which was obscurfities, a pun for obscurities, in which I would talk about rare or obscure video games.
the less said about that pun, the better, and that's coming from me.
So, audience, the audience participation section of the episode is you get to vote on which of those you like best, or you can come up with a different suggestion than the Fast and the Curfius that still maintains the pun that allows me to talk about speedruns, because I have a lot to say about them. So anyway, my segment today is just talking about ideas for naming my segment. So we'll move on and let you guys flex your muscles.
Brainstorm, should we put some kind of poll in the forum? So, because we haven't really discussed how we're going to take the feedback, have we? Whether we put something in the How Long to Beat forum thread.
We could put it in the thread. We could also have our lovely social media person make a Twitter poll, even though I don't know if anybody follows our Twitter yet.
Don't downplay us. We have a growing community.
I haven't posted in a while.
Well, it's a good time. It's a good time for us to at least plug it. We do have a Twitter account. It is, I don't even remember, what is it, at HLTB Podcast? Is that right?
Yeah, at HLTB Podcast.
Yeah, so you can follow us there and interact with us that way, which you should please do. We like to interact.
And if you're not on Twitter, you can find us on the forums, which is obviously where we all started off.
That is true. And I guess option number 3 is that all 3 of us are also on Discord. I don't spend a lot of time on Discord, as these 2 can attest. I am pretty hard to reach. But at least these 2 you should be able to reach pretty easily.
Amen.
Yeah, cool. All right, so shameless plugs over.
And now we move to the one true host segment, that being recommendations. And the recommendation this time was going to be a game, but we'll delay that one because Brockhampton, the self-styled modern boy band, have just released their new track called 1999 Wildfire, and it is fire. Wow, I just cringed a little. But they're a great band. They do really good sort of hip-hop music with a bit of a lean more towards the pop and the mainstream. I don't normally listen to rap or hip-hop or anything like that, but I'm a real big fan. The new track is amazing. You don't even have to remember any kind of spelling because it's currently on YouTube trending. So go and check that shit out. And if Toast wants to get her head out of her arse, it's now time for her silly segment.
Okay, it's time for what was it even? Fresh out of the toaster or hot out? Fresh out of the toaster.
And I want to extend my apology because that was a little bit aggressive for me.
Yeah, it was really mean. You're lucky that I'm forgiving and I deal with people like you and your kind all the time.
Yeah,
I mean... But also, what do you mean, me and my kind?
Like terrible people. You're a cancer on this earth.
You need to be purged.
Wow, that's topical given...
But you know what? I think this is the first time that Rick's actually apologized for saying something rude and crude. So
it's the first time I've crossed a line. When I cross a line, I make it right.
Where is your line, Rick? Because you've already crossed a fair number of them.
Well, it's a question that scientists have been struggling with for a long time.
Thank you for your half-assed apology. Now on to my segment.
Wow.
Did I already plug Yakusoku? I think I did. Yeah.
Which one's that one?
That one's like... Yeah, I did already. It's like a mixture of Series of Unfortunate Events mixed with, like, Danganronpa.
You might have done. I don't know.
Yeah. Now I'm going to plug... I mainly just read manga, so I can only really like recommend manga. So I'm reading Arakawa, Under the Bridge, and essentially what it's about is, and it has a very because manga story. So this dude, he can't be in debt to anyone, so he can't like have anyone do anything nice for him. So he gets his life saved, and then because things happen, he lives under a bridge with a bunch of insane people, and one of them has a star for a head, and then one of them thinks that they're from Venus, and it's just really, really good.
I feel like you're just saying words.
Dumb concept. Like, it feels like someone threw alphabety spaghetti at a wall and just a 1 in a million thing happened.
It is so weird because it's so stupid, but then it'll get you like in the feels because you're like, this is actually a pretty solid slice of life gag manga. Because like they have a church, and it is run by a sister, but it's a dude, and he's from the mafia, and he keeps on going.
He is.
He keeps on going like, all y'all sinners need to like fucking confess, and he'll have like machine guns, and it's super good. And then the star loves the person from Venus, and there's also a pigeon and a bee.
Literal birds and bees.
And a dude who can only walk on white lines, so he has a line marker that he carries everywhere. Just really good.
Who, why, how, what? I'll tell you what I'm interested in though, and I don't normally read manga, but I sort of am quite enamored by the concept. Isn't there one at the minute about like, is it wrong of me to try and pick up girls while I'm in a dungeon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's alright.
Oh, that's alright, but you love the fucking Starhead Venus man mafia sister.
You know, I think we were doing well language-wise until literally the last 3 minutes.
Just fuck it all. Fuck all of it.
Well,
And
I mean,
I'm doing the editing, so I can edit all of the fucks and the shits and the cunts out, so it's fine.
Okay, that last one though, I don't even. Okay, I have good taste, and this is good, and the one that you suggested is not as good because it's pandering, and things that are pandering are not as good as things that come from the heart. And
I didn't realize it had a panda in it.
yeah, but kill yourself, please. And we can go find a new host, and it'd be great because they wouldn't be a narcoleptic, and they would actually be on time for things.
And they would keep their computers manually up to date, so it doesn't auto-update in the middle of the time we try to record.
Do you know what? I'm laying the gauntlet down. Bill Gates, fight me IRL. Fuck your Windows updater. Not happy. So, yeah.
All right,
wow, that killed it, didn't it?
So I guess we're closing on that note, huh? All right,
no.
So it has been said. The gauntlet has been laid down. The challenge has been issued. William Gates, Esquire, has to fight Rick, IRL. And
I want to win.
Those are the rules of the internet.
Not you.
I'm imagining this as like, you said fight me IRL, but now I'm imagining it as like a Western like shootout. Outside of a saloon, there's a dust bunny rolling by, 20 paces at high noon, and then you just let him fly. And it's
all right. His OS will decide to restart at the moment of truth, so I'm not really worried.
I was imagining it as like him like hearing the threat and then just like breaking your computer and being like, okay, and then just like that'll be that.
Just like some lulsec image pops up on my screen, like... everything freezes.
I really hope that he actually listens to this. I don't know why he would, but
no.
I hope he does, and I hope that he decides to fight you.
Plot twist, Bill Gates was our biggest fan, and now I've just ruined him, and he's going to ruin us in return.
Just you. Just
me, yeah. You two, to be fair, by association, you two are both marked men now.
But hey, all I'm saying is if those guys from the Something Awful forums could get the lead singer of Smash Mouth to eat 24 eggs cooked by Guy Fieri on camera for no reason, then I think we could get Bill Gates to fistfight you.
That's a thing that happened.
It is a thing that happened.
Okay,
I'm Googling that once we wrap up.
Smash Mouth is desperate to be relevant again. Bill Gates doesn't have to...
How dare you? Smash Mouth were never not relevant.
This was before they were desperate to be relevant. This was when they were just, like, floating around doing random shows just to pay the bills.
That sounds like desperate to be relevant.
Not desperate to be relevant, just desperate to put food on the table. And ultimately, the food that was put on the table was 24 eggs cooked by Guy Fieri.
What a
See,
terrible human being.
Who, Smash Mouth or Guy Fieri?
No, Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri is great. And I don't have the time to tell you why Guy Fieri is great.
I was about to say, this isn't a complaint, but this is exactly why we can never stick to a time. Because we've gone from...
It's always you.
How dare you? You're the one that brought up a stupid manga. You're the one that brought up Bill Gates. And then Kerf's the one that brought up Guy fucking Fieri eating eggs.
No, Smash Mouth is eating the eggs made by Guy Fieri.
The problem is Kerf plays too much games.
Too much games.
Game list is astronomical, and then you talk so slow, and then when I make one or two random comments, you're like,
Okay,
oh my
you're
gosh,
talking
look
about
at that. Look at that Laura. She's just like doing this thing again, and she's just making things so weird.
Do you know what's a really good way of making your point? When you talk in a condescending voice and in the third person about yourself. Really, really hammers home what you're trying to do.
I know, that's why I did it.
Oh, I love it, but also why?
All right, so
All right.
I think we're gonna be laying down some more gauntlets in the near future.
I'll take on all comers. As John Wick said at the end of John Wick Chapter 2, possibly the greatest film of the last decade, tell them I will kill them all.
Is that really something that you want to have known in your life, that you watched John Wick?
John Wick's great.
Let the world
I actually
know
have never seen it. I just want to insult him.
Hey, don't let me ruin your enjoyment of an amazing film. And John Wick 3 is less than a year away. No one's counting, but I am super excited.
All right, so again, last episode, I think we talked about this a little bit. We are planning to bring on guest hosts. We have not forgotten about that, except for the part where we forgot about that. So it wasn't in the cards for tonight because of the aforementioned forgetting. But we are going to try and stick to a more regular publishing schedule for these episodes. Just to get this out there, we are planning on recording every other Wednesday night at about 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Where was I going with this? So, yeah, if you are a person in the How Long to Beat community who does not have things going on every other Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we would love to have you on board for a short interview and to take part in the rest of our shenanigans that we talk about. We'll probably put a post in the forums about it, and again, you can also reach out on Discord or Twitter. If you want to reach out directly to one of us, I would recommend either Rick or Ultimate Zombie Toast. Keep in mind that Rick on Discord has decided to go by Brother Hammer, like the plebeian that he is.
How dare you?
And yeah, so I'm saying every other Wednesday, but I haven't put specific dates on that, so that might be confusing. The next time we record will be July 18th, 2018. So if you happen to be free that day, or the days following in the 2 weeks. That's a confusing way of saying that. It's every 2 weeks.
We'll work something out. Yeah. That's the bottom line.
So July 18th, August 1st, August 15th. Just do the math yourself. If you are available those evenings, then please reach out and we will try to work you in.
Oh, and by the next time we record, I'll be 22.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You'll be what now?
22.
Oh, woo.
Yeah.
Welcome to the 22 Club.
It's not much of a milestone, but happy early birthday.
What are you now, like 30?
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn.
Yeah,
I would
mean,
say also. Sorry, go on.
after you turn 22, every year beyond that is 30, until you reach 30, and then you're 40.
Wow, that makes for depressing thinking.
As long as I die by 35, it's okay.
All right.
Go on. I feel like there's something behind that, and I want to know more.
There's a story.
Yeah,
But it's okay.
let's get to that in a future time. We'll leave it on a cliffhanger.
Just before we do leave, I would say don't be too scared. We won't bite you, just each other, in terms of sort of guests and what have you.
Well, we'll try.
We'll try. We'll do our best.
Unless you're better than us, in which case, we're coming for your blood.
Yeah.
Unless you're better than the other
Yeah.
two, let's be honest.
We have to maintain our egos. Hey, that's kind of bookending it. Like, we start with my ego and we end with my ego. If my ego feels threatened, then you're gonna be put in the ground, kiddo.
We are really making an attractive proposal, aren't we? Come and be a guest, but don't be too good of a guest, and also be afraid.
Fear is the greatest motivator.
Now that is the name of this podcast episode.
Duly noted. And with that, have a lovely time playing video games fastly, I suppose.
But nothing else.
Yeah, don't do anything else with your life. Only play video games like me.
Especially not drugs.
Yeah, winners
But
don't
they're
do
too
drugs.
expensive.
Hugs, not drugs.
It all comes full circle. Winners don't do drugs, so if you do drugs, you can't beat games because you can't win at them. So,
Ho, 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 just say no.
ergo, don't do drugs. You won't be able to beat your backlog.
That needs to be on like bumper stickers. I need that in my life. If anyone's creative and or has an Etsy shop, make it happen.
I've been trying to close out the episode for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to leave now.
Can we just say our goodbyes?
Oh god damn. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.